Welcome back to Lead the Standard, episode 29. I am Kelly Taylor here with Jackie Stapleton, and today we are covering Quality Management Simplified. 4 pillars that do the work for you. Who does not love that? Today's episode is based on edition 76 of our newsletter. You can find that on LinkedIn and through our website. So if you are looking for a straightforward way to make quality management easier and more effective, you are in the right place. Jackie's going to break down these 4 pillars for us, the core elements that hold your quality management system together and make it work almost on its own. Good morning, Jackie.
Kelly, how are you?
I am great. I am pumped for simplification today. I love it. As I said, we are going to dig into each pillar, from audit programs to management reviews, practical insights to help you streamline your quality process. So, Jackie, I'm sure you can tell I am excited to hear about these pillars and taking that complexity out of quality management. So what is the secret behind their impact? I will share them on screen.
Yeah. And look, I will share them, and it was really a light bulb moment for me. But I do want to share my funny story that sort of led to this. It's a bit of a metaphor for overcomplication and why I ended up with the colours and the dots on the model. Because, you know, it's always good to start off with a laugh, right? And
it is.
Especially when your mother-in-law's involved. I'll be one day, so that's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll be annoying too. But
yeah,
this is fun if you're not. So, as I said, the story that I wrote in the LTS, what did you say it was? 76?
76?
Yeah. I shared about my mother-in-law, so obviously my husband's mum, and she needed to downsize, and she moved in with us for maybe 6 months, just to help her move to, you know, out of a unit that was costing her a lot of money, and, you know, move forward and have some spare cash in her pocket, to make her later years more comfortable. So my husband and I were up there, you know, I think it was the weekend before, and Lee said, okay, Mum, all I want you to do is go and buy, you know, some of those coloured dots. You can get them at the news agent or the cheap shop or something like that. And there'll be 4 categories, so 4 different coloured dots. So there'll be stuff for the dump, there'll be stuff to take to like a secondhand store and donate. There'll be things that need to go into storage until she finds her own place. And then there's stuff that needs to come with you to our house. That was simple. So all she had to do during that week before Lee came up was to put those dots on all the items of furniture and then pack boxes accordingly. And so, you know, it'd be a certain dot. So then Lee could come in and the next weekend and just know, okay, that's got to come home, that's got to go to storage, this is a dot. Pretty simple, right?
Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
Great idea, Lee. Great idea. So anyway, Lee rocks up the next weekend ready to follow the dot process. But there were no dots. Well, I tell a lie. There were some dots, and even some of the furniture had 2 coloured dots. So, she was not sure where or what it was going to, but it was only a small part of the unit she'd gotten the dots to, and then it was really confusing. What she had spent her time doing for that week was documenting every single possession that she owned, right down to individual tea towels. And then she put the colour code next to the tea towels, the trinkets, the toilet paper, etc. And then she printed out each of these spreadsheets. Okay, she had a legend, and then she had these folders, and she put all of these spreadsheets in the folders. And then when Lee turns up the next weekend, she just has these folders, and she goes, "Here you go." And Lee goes, and I won't swear, Lee goes, "What is this? Like, I don't need this. I just want the dots on the furniture, please, Mum." So she'd done all of this extra work that was not necessary when she could have just gone straight to the point and just put the damn dots on things. She did not need to document everything. She was no longer in the Air Force and had to document all of her belongings. It really overcomplicated things and did not help Lee at all. There was extra work done that was not necessary, and it actually created more work at the end for Lee. So that's where I sort of got, like, in that model, that's where I got the coloured dots from. That formed the basis of the model, because I thought, it's a really good, I suppose, story that aligns with this. And funny enough, it sort of leads to those 4 pillars and the 4 coloured dots. So I just wanted to share a little backstory on where or how I created this model. Okay, so to get to the point of answering Kelly's question, my short answer. So this, no, I'm not at the short answer yet. I just want to.
You never are. You just say you are, but you're not. You never are. I love it.
Like, I just want to share that these 4 pillars were actually a light bulb moment for me in the last 12 months or so, in helping people and coaching them with implementing their systems, and realising that there were 4 things only in a management system that you needed to use from the get-go, from the beginning, to build your system. It's already there. And if you're using these 4 things, then you are building your system as you go, and you are creating the evidence as you go. All right. So that was probably a bit of a short answer anyway. I might repeat myself, but introducing formally the 4 pillars that do the work for you. So if you use these 4 elements, it means that your QMS, quality management system, well, any ISO management system really, because they're common areas, it will build and improve the system itself. So the 4 pillars are your audit program, so what goes where, that aligns with the moving furniture. Internal audits, so actually looking at stuff. Non-conformance register, so what needs fixing. And your management review, which is where you'll make your decisions. So those 4 simple elements will build your ISO management system for you, I guarantee you. So there's no need to get bogged down in all the other stuff. If you use these 4 elements, you will build the system as you go. Okay, it keeps it very, very simple. Yeah,
And not only that, you're still following the PDCA cycle as you're going around.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's everything in one.
Yeah, it was a huge light bulb moment for me. It's like, oh, why am I working through clause 4? Okay, context, then interested parties, then scope, then the processes, and then we move to clause 5 and working our way through.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you still touch on that, but those 4 pillars, those 4 elements, move you towards that and work you through it to build it naturally within your system. And create the evidence to demonstrate your internal audits and management review, because they're the key evidence or records that, say for us, like the initial certification audit, that they're looking for. Have you got an internal audit program? Have you conducted internal audits? Have you conducted management review? Even at the stage 1 level, that's what they're looking for. So why wouldn't you use the system to build and then maintain?
Yeah.
It's just 4 things. That's it. 4 things.
I love it. Taking note.
Okay. So the first pillar in the 4-pillar approach that builds and improves your QMS itself on its own is the audit program. So when you plan what to audit, you naturally identify your key processes. So your audit schedule or program, I might flip between calling it either or, it shows or reveals what documentation you actually need. So documentation, whether it's records, evidence, or procedures or statements, etc. So it actually, by doing this, it plans that coverage just automatically and maps out your entire system scope. So you learn about what your critical areas are without having to guess, essentially. Okay, so I did this recently with a coaching client. We just developed the internal audit program and we mapped it out, say, by risk, essentially, and we included each aspect of the standard, leaving the lower risk stuff to the end. And the quality manager just followed it. Did it change? Absolutely, because as he started working through it, he identified non-conformances, higher priorities. So the audit program schedule changed. Sorry. So that's normal though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you know, I always bang on about internal audit programs. They shouldn't be carved in stone.
No. I think there's a few words there that you said that I think is really important for people. We already mentioned this will help if people build things naturally, because, as you said, you go along and you find things, you reprioritize, you find new risks, etc. You also identify more opportunities in there as well. So as long as you have this plan in place and you know that there is that flexibility, that it is not carved in stone, then you give yourself permission to improve your systems, to make sure that you are covering all of those risks, etc., because you're essentially you're finding them. But as you said, it's not carved in stone. Allow yourself to have that fluidity in that schedule, but also it's important to document that fluidity in the schedule. So if something moves, don't just not do it. Just no, we've reprioritized this because we found this. It's not just for the auditor, but I can guarantee that you're going to come back in 6 months' time and go, why didn't we do this? Yep. And if you say we didn't do this because we reprioritized for this, okay, now I know why. Yeah. Not, oh my gosh, we've got to chase our tail and fix this thing that we never did, and we didn't do it for a reason. So yeah, give yourself permission to have that flexibility, but leave yourself reminders along the way why.
Yeah, you can. I like how you use the word fluid, something like that. Yeah. So and that's okay, because I know initially the quality manager did sort of want to hide. Go, oh, no, let's just change it. They don't need it. No, it's good to be transparent.
Absolutely. No one likes a secretive person. No one trusts a secretive person.
Yeah. And then you can't trust the system either. So
exactly,
it's okay. And the standards do say in that clause 9.2 internal audits, about the audits to take into consideration status and importance, which is risk essentially.
Yeah.
So that will change in any given amount of time. Okay, so that first pillar, being your audit program, will actually in itself map out the implementation, the maintenance, the improvement of your management system. It's like the plan, it's the map, it's the project.
Yeah. And I think we're talking about little sections there. Don't forget that the frequency of things might change. If you've got everything there, it's not just about we're doing it once. You might be doing things more often because of that risk. You might decide you're doing them less often because of there's less of a risk. Again, it's so fluid, but as long as you're aware of that and you do at least touch on everything at some point in time, don't just keep rescheduling.
Exactly. Yeah. When it becomes low risk or, historically that hasn't been an issue for a while, well, you may not go there as often or as soon. But that could
still got to go there.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the first one, to get that program in place, but don't get hung up on it because it will change and it should change. Okay. So did I just disappear then, Kelly, on the video?
You did, yes.
Okay.
That's all right.
I disappeared myself.
Yeah, good on you.
That's what threw me. Okay, so the second pillar in the 4-pillar approach that builds and improves your QMS or your ISO management system on its own is actually doing the internal audits. So as you audit, so based on that audit program, those processes naturally become built, identified. You might identify gaps along the way. So you identify those gaps, you identify improvements as you go. Okay, so you're building the system, you're following the audit program, you're conducting the internal audits, you're identifying areas that need to be filled, okay, where the gaps are. So that means you're building your system. Okay, so just going through that process is it's a gap analysis essentially. Okay, so it's not just based on theory anymore. So you're actually looking at the real evidence. Okay, as you walk through that audit program, conduct the audits, you're actually seeing what's out there and building your system based on facts. And while you're doing this, you're actually creating the evidence of internal audits being conducted as you go. Because when you're building a system, you're reviewing it, you're seeing what's missing, and you're filling it. That's an audit, people. That's an audit.
Yeah. I think people look at the term internal audit and they think of it as a formality. Like, oh, we have to do this audit on this day at this time on this process.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be like, yes, you've got your program, but as you said, doing that gap analysis, anytime you go into a new procedure and there's something missing, you're doing an audit. Oh, I found that there's a gap here. Let me move that into the next pillar.
Yes.
I want to step ahead.
Stop, Kelly.
But, I just realised that I'd already stepped ahead between 1 and 2, but yeah. It doesn't, your internal audit, while yes, in this pillar and in all of this that we're doing, to make it simple, you don't need it to be always formal and structured. You are doing little micro audits all of the time. And if you're documenting those and adding those notes to wherever that's your internal audit reports, going back, we've now actioned this, or you are constantly conducting audits.
Absolutely. Like, don't waste your time like reviewing the system and what you've already got, identifying gaps. as part of building your system and maintaining and improving it. Don't waste your time not doing that as an internal audit, because you are. That is an audit. Get that stuff on your audit program, conduct an audit, just do what you do naturally, but record it as part of your internal audit process. Because it's just a natural part of, one, building a system, and two, maintaining and improving it. So use these tools positively. And as I keep saying, these things honestly will build your system for you if you just do these 4 things.
Yeah, it will become business as usual. It will become part of your everyday without you even realizing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you said, Kelly, this isn't just for the certification auditor to tick it off. If you just use these 4 things, you're doing what you're meant to be doing naturally. Okay?
If you're not certified now or don't plan to be, it's still a really good habit to get into, because say maybe one day you need to get certified. You don't have to run around going, I need to do all of these things. Oh, we do this every day of the week. This is our system is so smooth and simple.
It's already done.
Done for me.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Exactly. Okay, so that's just the first 2. The audit program, which is our plan and our map, which could change, and that's okay. Then we implement the audits as per that program. And then, of course, there's still 2 more. There's a third pillar in the 4-pillar approach that builds and improves your quality management system, or any ISO management system. It does it itself. The third pillar is your non-conformance register. Okay, and look, you can call it whatever you want to. In this instance, I'm referring to it as a non-conformance register. So this is where the outputs, outcomes of your internal audits from pillar 2, from pillar 1, that's where these gaps that you identify are recorded. Okay, so now again, you're creating evidence. You're building a system, you're maintaining and improving a system, all the while recording these gaps in your system, in your non-conformance register. That allows you then to identify trends and patterns. It allows you then to really understand what the gaps are, and then also conduct some sort of root cause analysis. Are there trends? Is it in certain categories? And of course, it drives those improvement opportunities. Okay, it might identify some need for additional training or performance, or even resource gaps. So this approach, moving to this third pillar, is now pulling all of these gaps and improvements together in one place. And guess what? Here's the evidence. It's all here. Okay, so this will cover the requirements in clause 10.2 in all standards, and for quality it should cover 8.7 as well. So you see how you're naturally generating evidence for these separate clauses as you go. If it's in your first pillar, your program, you will identify gaps in all of the different clause requirements. It will end up as an audit report. It will end up in the non-conformance register. Bingo. Yeah. It's honestly gold, if I must say so myself.
I think you're right. And I think a lot of people still hear the word non-conformance and think, bad thing, bad word, alarm bells. I had a catch up with a student yesterday morning, and he's doing their internal audit at the moment, and he had done our course a while ago, was coming back refreshing the content with new understanding because he's now implemented his system. but he was still going through and doing things clause by clause. And I went, showed him a couple of things like, oh, they've got this incredible non-conformance report, like document where, oh, we found the non-conformance, this is what we've done. But all of those are in individual pages. So they didn't have that centralized register. It's like, oh, well, the irony of having a non-conformance about non-conformances was not lost on any of us. But again, he was like, oh, okay, we've got to do that. I'm like, brilliant, that's awesome. And he looked at me like I was a little bit crazy because, oh, look at that. Like, you've now found this improvement opportunity. You've streamlined this because now when this person comes in and audits you and says, where's this? You can go, oh, which one would you like? Let me click on this. There's so many different things. We were talking about it last week, and we actually had our strategy session earlier in the week, and we have tried to embed identifying non-conformances and improvement opportunities into our team's KPIs because it's an opportunity. It's people. So I think this is really important that people don't look at the word non-conformance and go, oh, this is hard, this is really bad, this is terrible.
Or do I hide it?
Don't.
Yes.
Share it. Bring it. Again, a new thing in our system. We've got a in our Slack, we do kudos for each other. We do our daily check-ins. We have a new addition I haven't shared with the team yet. They'll learn about it Monday or when they listen to the podcast. It's called Marvelous Mistakes. Heard you made a mistake this week. Celebrate it. What did you learn? What did you do to fix it? How did you feel? Have that attitude towards non-conformances and really encourage the team to find these issues so that they can be owned and fixed and people feel part of that process.
And I suppose it's probably a cultural thing because I know recently I had someone that had identified a non-conformance in an internal audit. And I asked, why isn't that on the non-conformance register? Oh, because I'm going to fix it.
That's the point of the non-conformance register.
Well, that's great that you're going to fix it. He said, yeah, but if I put it on the register, it looks really bad, doesn't it? I said, no, it actually looks bad if you don't have anything on the non-conformance register because it actually means that you're hiding things, which you are.
It's funny you should say that because I did share with this student years and years and years ago, we used to have our internal audits on an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh,
and the one that I shared with him had a few non-conformances on it, and I didn't hide them. I was like, oh my God, we fixed that. Oh, wow, we've changed this since then. And I got excited. He goes, well, why are they still on there? I said, because that time they were non-conformances. And now I can look back and say, wow, we fixed that. Wow, we do that better. Our next audit would have had it was conforming. But I did get a little bit excited to see, oh, well, that was a non-conformance. It's not now. So it does motivate people. I think the non-conformance is that, I don't know, it's that little thing in the corner that quiet person in the corner that never says anything, but when they say something, you really need to shout their name out. Sorry, I'm having flashbacks to Monday about the quiet person in the corner who loves to have their name said. Shout out to Angus.
It's always the quiet ones.
Yeah, but yeah, I think non-conformance, as you said, they're gold, and I can't really think of a much better explanation than that. Yeah. People really need to embrace them and celebrate them.
Yeah.
But only if you're doing something about them.
Yeah, that's right. And as I said, I think it is a cultural thing as well. So, leading, as the ISO systems leader, you need to lead with that culture. It's not sort of a big dob fest. You're not dobbing on people. I've also come across that over the last few years where they have like anonymous photo submissions where they dob. It's just not that's not what it's meant to be.
Oh, it's not about the people, it's about
Really
the
bad.
process.
Yeah. I came across that a year or so ago. It's just, that's not what this is supposed to be.
That made my stomach turn. I don't want to work in
Yeah,
that place.
it's terrible.
Mm.
Okay, so the fourth and final pillar in the 4-pillar approach, that, as I keep saying, builds and improves your management system all on its own, is, drum roll, management review. So the management review, that's clause 9.3 in all of the standards. This is where decisions are made. Okay, we report everything that we've done so far up to management review. And it also picks up some other clause areas like clause 4.1 and 4.2, 9.1.2, customer satisfaction, and so on. It, as everyone knows, management review is my favourite. Now I have 4 favourite since I've realised that all of these work so well together. But, management review, everything you've done in pillar 1, 2, and 3 feed up to management review. You discuss it, determine where you're at, and you make decisions. And there is a requirement to retain documented information of the outcomes of the management review. So guess what? That's evidence that your management review has been done. So, as I said, by doing this, you are creating your system as you go. These 4 things work together so brilliantly, and it will be effortless, much more effortless, to build your system and maintain it if you just focus on those 4 things. And management review is that final loop. And actually, while I'm on that loop topic, I guess I did create this model as, I suppose, parallel, but I did have continual improvement down the bottom as an output. So I guess, yes, with your management review, that could actually loop right back to your program. So what are the outcomes? Okay, what's changed? What's higher risk? What do we have to look at first? And not so importantly, it will feed back into your audit program. You might change what you've scheduled based on those decisions, and then you start all over again. Conduct your internal audits, record any gaps in the non-conformance register, report it up to top management, discuss and make decisions.
It's a little bit of a light bulb moment.
I can see that on your face.
Well,
you've had a light bulb moment face.
We've planned our program. So that's a P. We have looked at identifying the stuff. So we're still doing, we're planning in our program. We're doing as we're conducting our internal audits. We're checking things on our non-conformance register and our management review, and then we're going back again and we're acting. So it's a different viewpoint of that PDCA cycle. You've just made it linear, you've just given it practicalities at a much, much higher level. Like this is the beginning, and you can see straight away where that comes in. Everything in this is about the planning, the doing, the checking, the acting, and
keeping on going. And it drives and builds and improves the system just if you focus on these 4 things. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't worry your pretty little head about anything else, because if you do these 4 things and your audit program covers all of the elements of the standard or standards that you're implementing a system for, you will pick that up as you go. I think that's a key thing with Pillar 1, is that your audit program needs to include all of the elements of the standard or standards that you're implementing the system for, because that's how you're going to capture each of those elements and ensure that they're implemented and conforming to the requirements.
Yeah. And I think while it is very important that you are planning to the requirements of the standard, you're also planning to the style, operations, people, culture, output of your team and your business. You are not planning an audit program for Boeing, for example, if you are mum and dad, the plumber up the road.
Yep.
So in that planning, yes, you have the same requirements, but the outcomes and the context of how they apply to you is very unique. So make sure that your program is unique to you and your business's needs, requirements, expectations, etc. So still keep that simple, but within your own context.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I suppose in understanding that, that's even more reason to use these 4 pillars, because you can make it relevant to your business, relevant to what you do. It's contextualized, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So, it is very simple. So just to recap or summarize those points, I don't know if you want to pop that model up just quickly, Kelly, for anyone that's actually watching. If you're listening, you'll just have to imagine this in your brain, or go and take a look in LTS number 76, which the link should be in the show notes. And if it's not, message us, because that should be, because it's in the procedure.
We'll identify that as a non-conformance added to
That's
our
correct.
We'll
Is that a gap? So I know it's been a great light bulb moment for me. I hope so for you too, Kelly. Thanks for adding to it. But just to recap and summarize, the 4 pillars that do the work, not the walk, the work for you are, the first one is your audit program. So that's your map, that's your plan. The second one is internal audits. Actually do the audits that are scheduled on your program. And then, of course, the outputs or outcomes of your internal audits go on your non-conformance register. That's your gaps. Okay, that's your improvements to build your system and maintain and improve it. And then finally, that loops around to your management review, which is where all of those findings get reported up, discussed, actioned, or documented actions. And that's where decisions are made, essentially. Right? So that's all you need. I know I keep saying that. Just 4 things. That's it. Keep it simple. 4 things. Right? So as always, before I hand it back to you, Kelly, I'd like to close with stay curious and always lead the standard. By staying curious and leading the standard, you'll continually find new opportunities for growth and excellence in your career.
Thank you, Jackie. That is a wrap on today's episode. The idea of these 4 pillars really did resonate with me. We saw I had a couple of light bulb moments there as well. And I do love how each one builds on the next and just creates that real self-sustaining, I guess, quality management system. Starting with the program, moving on to the audits, their goal by non-conformances. Use these as your guide. Like you said, they're gold. I think that's an understatement. I'd love a non-conformance. They show you your patterns, where those improvements are. I know. I'm a little bit different. And again, making that management review count, the real data helps us focus on those strategic decisions, and then you can align those to your business needs. Next week, we're going to be talking about from quality manager, from quality leader, and the 5 steps nobody tells you about. Really interesting. You will have heard Jackie say a few times today, you're the leader, you're the quality leader, not the quality manager. So stick around next week. It is packed with insights. Anyone looking to step up from their role and really make a bigger impact. Again, thank you for tuning in. As Jackie said, stay curious. Please keep leading the standard, and we will catch you next time.
Awesome. Bye.